percent was the economy.
That's true. We've talked
Which
about that
should
here.
be the case, because that's what the American people care about.
You think?
Yeah.
I mean,
Wolfie, everybody wants, I can think of nobody better to have in that seat today, because everybody wants to know, was Biden watching? Did he talk to the president? And what is he thinking today? So I know that you've got to have some thought about that. You speak to the president all the time. Was Biden watching, and what is he going to do now?
well, it was, I think last night they said Biden was watching. They said the president was watching. I don't think together. Rumor has it there's a lunch between the president and Biden today. It will be interesting. I mean, listen, certainly I think when I met with Vice President a few weeks back, there was all speculation. He's running because he's meeting with me. And I said, listen, if he doesn't know, how would I know? But certainly I think the pathway is closing. There's no question that since McCarthy mentioned that the Benghazi committee is literally a partisan committee going after Secretary Clinton's polling, she has been an incredible different candidate from that week on, exuding confidence, talking about the issues. And the email thing has been kind of in the back burner. And so going into the Benghazi commission, this is an amazing situation for the secretary that Benghazi has changed. The whole tone has changed.
So if the vice president says for personal reasons he decided not to pursue this, does President Obama get behind Hillary in a major way?
I think it would be difficult for a sitting president to get involved in a primary until there was a clear, distinguished leader. Certainly, though, I think last night, if you said who is the candidate that took the president's platform and continued on with it, it was absolutely Secretary Clinton. There was no question.
She was very complimentary of the president's policies.
Of his policies. And so I think that, and she did that on purpose, right? Everyone would say Biden would carry the torch, but it's clear that last night Hillary was saying, no, I will be carrying the torch, and then I want to add to the torch.
Now, that's dangerous, though, because then the perception becomes Hillary's presidency is a third Obama term.
Well, I think, first of all, let's be clear. Obama's popularity in the Democratic Party is 80+%. My gut tells me if he ran today, he'd win.
Which he said himself on 60
Minutes. But you know what?
He'll be the first to tell you. Hey.
Exactly. And, I wouldn't probably challenge that either today versus the Republican field. So I would not say that you're going on the same platform. Obviously, she's came out against him on some things. But I think that an continuation of the platform with health care, with the economy starting to do better, but not where we want, immigration reform. These are things where, by the way, we can debate where the national map is going, but the electoral map sits very well for Democrats today. That's a fact. The electoral map sits well for Democrats because social issues right now have a louder voice than anything.
Let's talk about
true, and that was the case with the election last time.
Let's talk about those emails, though. Kevin McCarthy's snafu on the Benghazi committee clearly gave her a lot of momentum and a lot of energy, if you will. But last night, the line of the night from Bernie Sanders dismissing the email scandal, those damn emails, and it got a big cheer. But you do have to admit it's still a legal problem. It raises legal issues in this country, national security
and
issues.
There's an FBI investigation.
Right. Does she fully acknowledge that this could be a problem for her?
I don't think anyone's saying this has gone away. Two things I would just like to say. One, I would not agree McCarthy said a snafu. I think he told his truth, and his truth was
well, if you're a politician, it was a foul-up.
No question about that. Was a follow-up. That's why he's not the speaker today. But I think that the secretary doesn't think this is over. But certainly last night, Bernie, listen, he gave her a big softball to hit.
Was that a setup call?
I don't think it was a setup. I actually think he said all along he was not going to go after the secretary and be a gentleman. And what's interesting is he raised $1.4 million right after it. So the Democratic Party likes that they're not fighting each other on stage. Yeah. I heard actually Donald Trump say the Republican Party fights more against each other than they do against the Democrats.
They do.
I like that the Democratic Party aren't fisticuffs.
They're unified.
Last night, 38% on the economy and 52% on foreign affairs. That's what you want to see in the debate.
Who on that stage wants to be her vice president? All of them? Because, certainly Martin O'Malley was kissing up to her all night. He obviously wants the VP nod.
I don't see a vice president on that stage.
Harold Ford, right?
I love Harold. I know. Okay, Harold would be, a very interesting candidate.
You've spoken to Hillary recently,
right?
I
was actually yesterday. We were mailing with her and her staff, and I met with her, recently for almost 2 hours. So,
Who does she say she wants as her VP?
Oh,
Harold Ford?
I don't even think. I mean, first of all, she wouldn't say, "Hey, Robert, this is who I'm." It didn't even become part of the conversation. I think you win the primary first, and then you go from there.
What does she need to do now to keep up the momentum that perhaps she gained over the last week?
I think you have to listen. I think the public is nervous about the economy, and they're nervous about foreign affairs. Look what's going on in Syria and the Middle East.
Look at Iran.
Those are the two bookends. Okay, economics and foreign affairs. You have to stay on policy, and that's what she's a bit of a policy wonk. That's what she's going to talk about, I think that's a good thing. That's what the country wants to hear.
She loses in head-to-head matchups with the Republican candidates. So
Dagen,
what else does she have to do?
Dagen, looking at polls today, no disrespect, I'm not a poll watcher, and I know that in the media you have to look at the polls, but they are meaningless today.
So you ignore all the polls now?
I ignore all the polls because POTUS was running 1% when I started backing him.
That's right.
Hillary was at 65%.
Wow.
I should have bet, actually. I would have been a rich man today.
If Vice President Biden says, I'm not going to pursue this, those polls against Hillary, against the Republicans, a lot of that changes.
Yeah.
So Biden's taking about 20% off of Hillary right now.
So, that has an impact on that immediately.
And then there's Donald Trump also taking some market share.
Is Trump going to get the nomination?
I don't think Ben Carson is winning the Republican nomination, which, by the way, he's, I think, even with Trump in today's poll.
Almost even.
I would put
who's going to be the Republican nominee?
You know, my gut tells me that it will go back to establishment candidates.
They're going to go back to Jeb Bush.
So either Bush or Rubio, but I'm having a lot of enjoyment watching, the Donald. As a Wharton guy, I'm not one that actually disses him ever on TV. But I don't agree with his politics.
Well, listen, if you say something right now, he's going to tweet right back in 2 seconds.
I've always said that, I respect his business acumen. What can I say? And
he's just tweeting out right now.
And
That Robert Wolf is a smart
I played golf with him, and by the way, he's a great putter. I'm not a good golfer, but he's a great putter.
Now you're kissing up to it, Robert. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy being here.
Robert Wolf joining us.